All right, guys, this is a video on my teardrop camper build. This is a project I started about 2 years ago and kind of dropped it. Got busy doing my business, doing the chicken coops and all the other things with injection molding, which I haven't posted videos on the whole shop build, but I plan on getting around to it. I was actually going through my camera roll and looking at all the projects I haven't posted in a long time, and I got a lot of catching up to do. I figure I would post this video. This is actually just the body of the teardrop camper. It's off-road. It had an independent suspension. It's just sitting on a cart now. I've got the trailer welded up in the back. I'll have to post a video on that some other time. But yeah, this is it. Cut it on the CNC machine. The original plan was to make something that fit on the Harbor Freight trailer and would be like my chicken coop kit. So it would be shipped to you flat pack. You could put it together. It's all pre-CNC cut. It would assemble pretty easy. And basically after doing the project, I shifted gears a little bit, and I think the future of it would be making a fiberglass mold, spraying in the fiberglass mold, and then setting a thin skin of a fully sealed fiberglass on top of a CNC cut inner body that was all interlocked. So it's kind of a combination of what I did with this prototype. And I don't know, I just want to show you guys where I was at with it. I think it's a very interesting build. Obviously, I would make tremendous changes in it, but I want to show you where I'm at. So I'm going to post a video, a little walk around after I show you kind of the old clips that I had in here, and I'm just going to show them with all the integrity that they had, even though they're a little outdated from where I'm at now. Hey guys, Ben Logan here. As you know, I'm always making stuff, and this time I'm making a teardrop camper that's going to fit on top of the Harbor Freight trailer. I'm making it as a kit, and since it's my prototype, I'm not concerned about buying a new trailer or using the best materials to construct it, because I'm going to be making changes. So I dug this one out of the woods in the back. This was actually built in 1992. I don't know if it's actually the Harbor Freight trailer, but it's pretty similar to the one they sell today, and dimensionally it was the same. So I'm using this as my prototype trailer frame. It looks pretty rough, but that's okay. We're just going to throw this on there just to see if everything fits. Then I'll cut another model out that's a little bit better. But it's a funny story. This has been around since '92, and I remember when my dad built this, I was probably 6, and I'd scraped my ribs, and it's all in a home video, so maybe I'll attach that. So let's repurpose this. All right, I stripped that trailer down, I cut all the brackets off, but unfortunately, sitting in the woods for the last 20 years has taken its toll, and it is not going to be roadworthy. It's pretty much rusted out and bent. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna use it to get the dimensions correct on my prototype and have something on wheels where I can move it back and forth. Then on the next one, I'll buy a new trailer and do it upright. But this way, I'm just able to put it together on a budget.
2, 1, go.
Here's a little sneak peek at my trailer so far. Like I said, it's going to fit right on the Harbor Freight trailer. I constructed this out of 3/4 inch ply. It's double wall thick, and I did that so I can have a good overlap for my lifting gate and stuff. It's also all finger jointed together, so you can't put it together wrong. I spent a little over a week drawing this on CAD, and I'd worked on probably 10 different models before I settled on this design. But I was going a little crazy. I was trying to make fiberglass full model, and I decided to just make a basic one that's just a kit that I can flat pack to people. It's got dual doors. I've cut this for a 24 by 20 inch window, which there's a couple different ones available, so you can pick that. You can either roll the roof out of fiberglass or aluminum, and you could even skin this in aluminum or fiberglass after the fact. I CNC cut little lines in it because my plan was I like the more natural look. I was going to sand this down and do some clear coat on it, and where I had the line I was going to cut some aluminum. But that will probably be just for the prototype. On finished models, I guess I could offer the lines, and I would just probably recommend doing a strip of aluminum along the bottom. And then I have tons of options available for this too. I've got a bump out on the front. I'll try to lift this up real quick just so you can see it here. This is where the kitchen goes. I've got a nice overhang so you can stand under it. And like I said, I've got the overlap here to help seal in anything. I'm gonna have a pull out for a cooler and a little stove, side table options, and bump out option on the front. So this is just the sneak peek. As it goes. Then on the inside, I have it rigged up for a TV, little cup holders, but again, all that can change. And yeah, as it evolves, I guess I'll keep you posted. And I probably should make more videos, but I will catch you up on the next step. Thanks, guys. All right, I took this thing apart and then I glued it and put it back together, so you can see the glue in there, and you can see how I joined the whole thing so everything interlocks. Super easy, can't put it together wrong. and also makes it super rigid and strong. So the same with this. This is all interlocking back here, all screwed together. So letting that glue set up, working on this, and then waiting for someone to come over because I'm going to build it on this flat surface too and put it on a piece of pressure treated. So just kind of hanging out. All right, now that I have the design roughly assembled, I've got my tongue box made, got my vents, the AC fits in there. I'm pretty happy with it. I've got room for a battery under here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to disassemble this off the trailer, then reassemble it on sawhorses that have 2x4s going across to keep it all level during assembly. I'm going to replace the subfloor with a pressure treated one, and then put just a piece on top that makes it look like it's a finished floor. And then when I reassemble it, I'm going to assemble everything with glue. So it'll be really, really strong. And instead of doing the fiberglass over the top, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fiberglass this by hand and all the edges and rhino line it to give it that finish. And maybe on the next one I'll do something different, but for the prototype, that's what I'm going to do. And I think I've decided to weld up my own trailer instead of using the Harbor Freight, although the design will accept the Harbor Freight trailer, and maybe on the next one I'll use a Harbor Freight trailer. But I've already put a decent amount of work into this, and I kind of want to just make it my own now. And I want my own trailer with independent suspension. So let's get cracking and gluing. All right, working on the camper again. Just putting the top on. I got the insulation up here. Let's see. Got a hole for the roof vent, and just screwing everything together. I'm doing it with glue and screws. And I also put some electrical in. I got 110, a couple DC lines coming in here. Dropped them into here, run the fan, some LED lights, kitchen appliances. Also ordered this little mattress, fits perfect in here. So I'm gonna keep making headway. Okay, here's a little update on the camper. We're putting some fiberglass cloth on it, especially things like this tongue box. We're using a sailcloth, and it looks like shit because sometimes when you get the factory edge, it goes on super nice. And then other times when you cut it, the strands come apart. So the solution for that is it's just a labor, sanding it off after the fact. But the actual wrapped edge is what we're going for, because I wanted the edge. I was worried about it cracking in the near future or any future. So we did that. So all the edges are going to be wrapped in glass. Over on this side, you can see that I already took the grinder to get the strands off, and it looks okay. Really, I've done fiberglass work before. I prefer making a mold and putting it in a mold. Unfortunately, this would be a very big mold and be outside my budget. So really, the fiberglass body on this is just kind of fabbed right on the wood rather than putting it in a mold and then mounting it on the wooden frame. So maybe the future will hold different things, but for the prototype, this is just what we're doing. It's going to be extremely rigid. I already got on top and walked around. This thing's like pretty much indestructible. I feel like you could flip it upside down and it wouldn't crack. So we're going to go ahead and finish doing the fiberglass work and then clean up the body so it'll be prepped for paint, and then I'll spray the Raptor liner on it. All right, we have the majority of the fiberglass work done. Just need to do a light sanding. We have it all taped off and ready for paint. The light sanding is going to provide adhesion promotion for the fiberglass, and you can see how we were able to smooth everything out. In the last video, you could see how rough it was. Still, if I were to do this in the future, this is a prototype, so I didn't buy super expensive wood, and I would buy something that was already pre-sanded and pre-filled, because there was a lot of filling. A lot of this you're seeing is just little splits in the surface of the wood because it was sheathing for exterior. So I had the exterior glue qualities that I wanted, but with it all sealed up and everything, I don't even know if you would have needed that. I would have rather had a nice surface finish, and I bought a nicer surface finish like a BC ply on the interior parts. Like, actually, I built this all out of BC, I think. Maybe not this piece, but somewhere in there on the inside, I have the higher quality wood, and it does look a little bit nicer. So I would go with the nicer wood next time. But this was prototype. I actually didn't know I was even going to bring this one this far. A lot of the time I'll cut something out, I don't like the way it fits, and I just recut it out rather than putting all the work in. And yeah, so the fact that this one even made it this far is pretty cool. Next one will probably be a little better. The next one will be better. For, you know, it will look like a fully professionally made thing and not something in the driveway. But yeah, you can see we got to put one more coat on here, and just a lot of sanding that we did to smooth it out. And then once we have one more coat, we'll sand it one more time and get that rhino liner on there, or raptor liner, and hopefully it looks really nice. All right, we're all sanded here and got everything prepped, waxed and degreased, and like I said, sanded, scuffed for adhesion. Gonna go ahead and put the rhino liner on right now. Pretty happy with the way that it looks, and I'm pretty sure once the rhino liner or raptor liner's on there, it will be a totally different looking camper. All right, I went ahead and raptor lined it yesterday, but I wasn't happy with some of the finish work where the fiberglass was, where some grinding had been done. And I also didn't like the way that the raptor liner sprayed on, because if you try to get it in areas where there's a groove and you have to get kind of close, it goes on like stucco. So you end up kind of putting too much material on, wasting it. It wasn't very efficient. Areas like this with a lot of detail, hard to get in and remain the consistent texture. So what I'm gonna do is I went and bought 2 quarts of single stage urethane paint. I'm gonna paint all the hard to get areas first, put a light coat over the whole thing, and then I'm gonna stand back with the raptor liner and just use that for texture. So I think it's gonna be a more efficient way. I wish I knew about it, how to do that the first time, but you know, that's prototype and figuring stuff out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then when I did, as I went back and I just filled some of the areas I didn't like, a little bit of lightweight filler, and it should take it away from the eye. That way, when the sun's in line with it, it's not gonna cast a weird shadow. So let's go ahead and get that on. All right, I just finished putting on the paint. So this is just single stage urethane paint. And since the rhino liner is also a urethane product, they're gonna have no problem adhering to each other, and there'll be no issues like that. And what it allowed me to do is really paint up in all these seams where you're gonna pile rhino liner on, or raptor liner, like it was pancake batter. So that was the solution for there. And then I fixed all the things I didn't like about the body. So this is gonna look super nice now. All right, so now I'm gonna stand like 10 feet away and just spray the raptor liner. All right, the paint has dried enough that I could take the masking off, and it turned out really nice. I actually really love the texture. The body looks nice and straight, and I took the time to fill all these areas, as well as fiberglass, but any little grooves and stuff that I didn't like are sealed up nicely, so it actually looks like a fiberglass molded body, which is what I was going for. This is actually a mount for the table, and everyone's saying it looks like Mickey Mouse, so I'm gonna change that in the future. Kind of oversight on my part. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sand all this wood in here, and I'm gonna get a coat of stain on there, and that way I can start moving forward with finishing this project up. All right, don't mind the messy garage. This thing's been sitting in here for a while. As you can see from the video, I did the CNC cutting of the wood, and originally I was going to do a clear coat on the outside, and that was kind of going to be the kit version. Then you could put a fiberglass skin over it. I actually ordered the fiberglass that you would laminate onto it, and I kind of switched gears through it, and I wanted to make a fully sealed fiberglass body. So you can see in the video, we wrapped it in a little bit of fiberglass cloth, rolled it in the resin, and then I rhino lined it. And I did that for the durability. This thing's kind of designed to be like an Overland package, where you could haul it behind a Jeep, very narrow, so you could get it through the trails without it brushing too much stuff. And I ordered a little mattress that fit perfectly in there. I haven't really cleaned it up for the video, and excuse me for that, but I'm gonna go ahead and just show you where I'm at. So this little tongue box on the front has a little door and a vent on both sides, and the idea behind that was to let the AC that sits in here vent out. But I don't know if it would have the capacity to vent. I'd have to run it. I might have to do it so this was actually hinged. Originally, I was just going to have it bolt on. Actually, I have it screwed down, so I can't even show you. But if you look in there, you can see there's the AC unit sitting in there. And then on the front of the ton box, if you open this up, this is where I have the wires running, so you could have your auxiliary battery and maybe a little extra storage in there. And that auxiliary battery would run just basically the fan up here. Solar kit would be nice. Obviously, it'd be nice to have some bars up here where you could have a rack and then maybe a rollout awning. I had the seamless windows. I spent a little extra money on them. I pocketed the hinges in. Obviously, if I end up molding this out of fiberglass in the future, I'd do it totally different. Kind of dark to see in here. I I don't know how to get the light on, but anyways, you can see I ended up staining and clear coating it. You got the spot for the TV, all that. I think in the future, if I were to do it, I would have stained it a lighter color and not done it so dark because it's kind of cave-like in there. This little bracket actually would be trimmed down, and a table slides in here, and that little Mickey Mouse stand holds the prop for the table. This isn't all the way screwed down, so I'm just gonna lift it up lightly. Just grab this top here. So we can get in here. Kitchen's back here. So this is where the kitchen would be. I already put the stove there. I'm gonna put a little divider shelf here, and then it would be a slide out for the refrigerator or the cooler that you'd have in there. And then those little pockets, the doors would actually hinge. I didn't put on the pneumatic cylinder yet. And on the back of here, this would have a piece of plywood in here or something and some lights. So never got around to doing it. Just kind of want to show you where I was at with it. It did turn out fairly nice. Like I said, in the future, I think I wouldn't do a kit. I would actually just manufacture these and have it sitting on an independent suspension, have a fiberglass body that was molded, and I'll attach some pictures of the next generation that I have on CAD drawn up that I would do that with. But yeah, you got to start with a prototype, kind of where I was at. Wanted to kind of show it off. Maybe I'll get around to it next year. Not high on the priority list with the business I'm trying to run right now. But if I end up making a bunch of money with my business, I do plan on manufacturing these in the future in a different form.